Join me as we talk all things true crime.
Made contact and shattered.
The missing 4-year-old. The parents have called in and advised that the mother has went through a wall, came home, now they can't find her.
Chad, where are Lori's kids? They've been missing for 4 months. You have nothing to say?
4 were stabbed multiple times and were likely asleep during the attack. Some had defensive wounds.
Most of them had just like one that was the lethal stab wound.
Oh, what a tangled web we weave. Once I told a lie, and I told my family, I had to keep lying.
What's your, is it deemed?
We haven't cleared anybody.
Hi, everybody. Thank you for being here tonight. Please let me know, chat, if my audio is good. I'm going to leave the camera off this evening. It's good to see everybody. Pointer Lover, Johnny's here. Ava's here. Bubba, hello. Bean, Bio Girl, good to see you. I didn't have my hubby here to check the internet connection. He is on his way home on the train, so I might have to step away and check the little one in the other room. She should be good right now. But again, thank you for being here. Let me just quickly share my screen. So I don't know how many people have seen the most recent thing going around. I put the picture on my thumbnail, some pants that were found by a YouTuber. Now, this YouTuber has been out searching for, weeks since this case has broke. And apparently she stumbled across some pants. Hello, Jay. Good to see you. And thank you for being a member for 5 months. And he's saying hello to everybody in chat. So anyways, this girl has been searching and working on finding Sebastian, which we appreciate. She stumbled across some pants. And oddly enough, it was, right after Chris came out on Websleuths pretty much saying that he was wearing Adidas-like pants. In fact, I have a clip exactly of what he says. If you give me a minute, actually, I'll pull that up because I want to make sure we get it correct, what he described the pants as. Now, Nick Beres from News Channel 5, we covered his post the other day about the sighting of Sebastian, the alleged sighting at that rest stop area. Hold on, let's listen to what Chris had to say before we get into the pants from Nick Beres. So I'm just going to share the stream from Tuesday.
Sebastian was wearing when he left.
From the house that night?
Yes.
The description is still the same. It hasn't changed from 60 days ago. However, I will say this much. Some of the information that's out on some of these posters and flyers, we have actually requested to have some of that changed, but it hasn't happened. So I'll walk you through what the description actually should be. Sebastian was wearing long black pants. Think of the 1970s style Adidas style pants. Had that white stripes down the side. That style of pants on. He had a long sleeve shirt, not a
They're called track pants for anyone who doesn't know. So Adidas style pants. So that's what he was wearing. This image comes out of these pants in some mud. Everyone obviously is very interested in, what's going on here with these pants. Are they Sebastian's? We really are desperate for any answers. The pants do match the description. However, much like that photo that came out, we read Nick Beres, News Channel 5's post the other day about that photo that's been going around that looks like Sebastian. He claims that he spoke with an investigator who believes that it's possibly AI. So I know that Facebook groups and people have said themselves, like, this looks like AI. It looks blurry around him. It doesn't look like it's a real photo. Apparently, Nick's source, now this is Nick Beres, his Facebook. He came out, and I read it in the last live stream, so I'll have to go check that or check his Facebook page, that some investigator that he spoke with said that they believe it's possibly AI. So we have not heard an update from TBI on that photo. We haven't heard an update from TBI on, an alleged car that person was seen getting into. So if it was a substantial lead, unfortunately, I feel like we would have gotten an update. We would have gotten something from law enforcement that has come out saying anybody in the North Carolina area, we believe that we have a legit spotting of Sebastian. This is the car. We looked at CCTV footage from that area, and this is what he got into. We haven't heard anything from that. So I don't mean to say, I don't want to be a negative Nancy and debunk things, but it just seems like at this point with a missing child, going on over 60 something days missing, if that photo had any relevance or significance, I feel like there would be some sort of update from law enforcement stating that, yes, we believe it was him. Please keep an eye out for this vehicle. This is what they got into. And again, the person who took that photo, Nick said it was posted on social media. We all saw it. He contacted the person who posted it. That person said a friend sent it to her. So of course it's, already going through some sort of grapevine, like passing around. Why wouldn't that person not only talk to that kid and say, like, are you Sebastian Rogers? Are you okay? People have questioned that, but I'm also wondering, like, for me, if I'm in a situation where I'm like, oh, wow, like I need to document this. I need to make sure, like, just in case, like I take a picture of the car and the license plate, We don't have this person who gave this photo to another person who posted it on social media. We don't have them saying, like, yes, I took that picture and then I actually saw the car they got into and here's that picture. So we don't have a vehicle description from the person who took that photo. And we don't have a vehicle description from law enforcement. At this point, they would have gone through that surveillance footage from that area and said, like, yes, and actually we have an updated video and here he is walking around. Like, we don't have any of that. So with a missing child, these things take precedent in a timely manner, that it just, I just feel like we would have heard by now if that was a significant lead. That's just my opinion. I want to be wrong. It seems like chat is sort of agreeing. Again, I want to be wrong. I want TBI to come out saying, like, yes, you know what, like that was significant. Thank you, everyone who's participating. And guys, I have it pinned in the chat on the top. Any information you have, like, don't take a picture and send it to your friend and say, post this in a Sebastian group. Call TBI, 1-800-TBI-FIND. That's all you have to do. You don't have to state your name. You can remain anonymous. So unfortunately, it's just kind of like, okay, so then if this is AI, now again, I'm only saying AI because apparently Nick has spoken to some investigator. He didn't say what law enforcement agency he spoke with. This is all on his Facebook. You can go check it out. He's been on this case from day one as well. So I kind of trust his reporting. He's claiming that they have already speculated, an investigator has speculated that it was AI. Now, I've also been in chats that follow this case. Clutch Them Pearls is always on this case and has really good streams. He's had an expert from, speak in his chat that does like photo editing and advancements and stuff like that. They came out saying like it looks edited to them. And then in the same stream, another person came out in the chat saying like, I'm a graphic artist too. And I believe that's a real photo. So there's been mixed opinions on the photo. But again, without even looking at the photo, zooming in over and over, I think at this point, we're going on Thursday, that photo came out, over the weekend. We would have heard by now if it's legit. And yes, Emily, I'm getting to the pants. I actually have it right on the screen. So if you're able to read it, you don't even have to wait for me to read it. It's on the screen, but it says exclusive update, not Sebastian's pants. Sebastian Rogers disappeared more than 2 months ago from Hendersonville home in Sumner County, Tennessee. I told you earlier today how a YouTuber who has been helping in the search for Sebastian discovered a pair of sweat-style pants last night. The pants resembled what Sebastian was wearing the night he disappeared. They were collected and analyzed by authorities. I have just heard back from Sumner County Police Sheriff's detectives. After examination, the pants found are believed to be unrelated to Sebastian Rogers. We are still following up on all leads and tips. Okay, then. What about the photo of someone who looks like Sebastian at North Carolina Visitor Center over the weekend? Authorities tell me they are still investigating the alleged sighting. So no word yet on whether they believe the person is Sebastian or not. Keep those tips coming in at 1-800-TBI-FIND. And this was posted 5 hours ago on Nick Perez News Channel 5 Facebook group. Some of the comments say, thanks for the update. Too many people who appear to have nothing better to do seem to believe they're forensic experts posting nonsense, especially those who decide they are more knowledgeable than the police. Thank you, Nick, for all the updates you share with us. We always can count on you for staying on top of things. Thank you for all your updates. This is the craziest case I've ever seen. Weird. 7 p.m. on Thursday night. I don't want to miss this. Please notify me when you go live again. Thanks, blah, blah, blah. So it just seems like there's a lot of people who are saying, like, there's a comment here that says, I believe he is still alive. You know, we hope and pray. We really do hope and pray. Again, if TBI are still investigating that photo, you know, we better get an update on some car that they've seen him get into, because we need something more in this case than what we've had for the last 60 something days. And again, they are still stating no sign of foul play. So that means what? That means we can't even say that he was kidnapped, because that's a sign of foul play, or that would be foul play. So, you know, people are saying things like, you know, he could still be held captive. He could still be alive. You know, I really hope so, but that would also mean foul play. So something is amiss here. We're missing some big thing in this, and it's very frustrating. So moving on from the pants and that photo, I guess, you know, it's good to know that the pants have been kind of discounted as not his, because that would be devastating if he didn't have pants on. Obviously, that would not mean anything good. That photo, you know, maybe it is him. Maybe they will come out with an update. Tomorrow is Friday. You know, when would they give us that type of update? But it's just, yes, thank you, chat, for filling the chat with green hearts. That was his favorite color. His dad said he just really liked the color green. Now we have another phone call. It's very sad when people play with people's minds when it comes to missing people. And I hope, you know, that those pants weren't just like planted there. You know, I can't, you know, suggest that. But if it comes out that that photo was AI generated, like, that's sick. That's really sick that somebody would, you know, put this out there and give us hopes and stuff like that. I hope that's not the case, but we all have seen how terrible social media and the internet can turn. And, you know, I wouldn't put it past somebody to do that. I really hope they wouldn't, but, you know, nothing would surprise me. Yeah, some people are truly sick. Yeah, unfortunately. So now we have another, you know, kind of disturbing development in this case. We have, yeah, I agree. Anyone who did that should be charged, to be honest. It can infect the investigation. Yeah. I wonder if that could fall under obstruction of justice. I don't know. I really don't know. But they'll be able to trace back to whoever, you know, photoshopped or AI, whatever, did that. So again, we have Nick Perez saying the photo is being looked into. An investigator said it's possible it was AI, and the pants are not his. So the pants are not Sebastian's. The photo could be AI, according to an investigator, and they're still looking into it. So That should clear up rumors. So I see people in chat, I see people on other channels, and I see people in Facebook stating that those pants are his and that's Sebastian. We don't know that. So again, before this case gets into any more of a circus, you know, I want my channel to put out what is being said to the media from the authorities. We got it right here on the screen. They are looking into that photo. Yesterday on his post, or Tuesday, I'm sorry. Tuesday, he spoke with an investigator who believes it's possible, hi Debbie, that it could be AI. He never said 100% it was AI, and he never said 100% it was real. He said it's possibly AI. So let's get that clear, because I don't want any fake news coming out from this channel. Like, we don't know about the photo yet. Okay? But the pants are not his. All right. So moving on to more disturbing developments. Now, we were listening to Websleuths the other night, the interview that took place where Chris popped up on panel. Well, I guess Chris decides he's going to follow social media and YouTubers and call into another show. Crime Stories Obsessed did a stream. I've got it linked, the entire stream, in the description box. I just want to play the part where Chris calls in, and it's weird. Like, first he calls in and he acts like he's not Chris. Who has heard this? I know the pants were a glimmer of hope. That photo, I mean, again, they're saying they're looking into it. They don't know 100% if it's real or if it isn't. No, TBI never came out saying that the photo is an AI. I literally read out loud what Nick Perez said about it. Nick Perez has led us astray in this investigation. The whole cropped flashlight video, and Seth himself said the TBI said the photo is an AI. Well, I mean, until nothing against Seth. Speaking of Seth, there's our Seth. Hey, Seth. Nothing against Seth, the bio dad, but until TBI himself comes out, I'm not going to just say, because, and where did Seth say that? Because I'd love to check that. I love to see receipts. So if there's a screenshot of Seth stating TBI told him that it's not AI, then that's good. That's hopeful. But according to Nick today, they're still looking into that photo. So I don't know why they would tell Nick they're still looking into it and then tell the bio dad it's not AI, and then tell Nick Tuesday that it's possible it could be AI. So again, it's just, not just leave it to a word of mouth, right? Okay, what live stream? Can you give us the stream and the minute mark? Because I will pull that up live and I would love to hear it. So we need receipts, people. We need, like I said, this was a very flowing case. Things happen very quickly. So if you got the live stream, the channel name, and the minute mark, I can pull it up live and we can hear Seth say that he spoke to TBI and they said it's not AI. So I'm not saying that what you're saying, VW, isn't true. I just want to, get it out there to everyone in the stream, exactly what's being said. Okay, so he calls in here pretending not to be himself. That's very odd. So before we get back into the Websleuths interview, because we never finished it and we're going to listen to his most recent call in, which is on Crime Stories Obsessed. Please like and subscribe. She's very nice. She's been following these cases in Somerwells and other cases for a very long time. She's over in the UK. I know this case really has gotten out of hand. And I was almost thinking to myself, like, it's become such a circus. Like, do I need to step away? And I'm like, no, like, I can't just not cover Sebastian, who is still missing, because people want to turn it into a circus. I'll have to go find it and email it to you. You don't have to email it. You can just tell me the channel name and the minute mark, and I will go in the title of the stream, and I'll go to the minute mark right here. I don't remember which video, so it might take some time. Well, the photo only came out a couple days ago. So, but then again, people are going live on this case like twice a day. So I guess I can understand what might be hard to find. Either way, this is the most recent update, and it was 5 hours ago. So whatever was said on T-Rev, if it's less than 5 hours ago, awesome. If it's longer than 5 hours ago or a day ago, then it's not as updated as Nick's statement from investigators. Okay, and I like T-Rev. He's done an amazing job on the Idaho 4 case. That's where I met him. He's always been kind to me. I know that he does like good call-ins and all that, but Nick here is saying 5 hours ago, he spoke to authorities and they're telling him they're still looking into the photo. So I'll read word for word again, second time. Authorities tell me they are still investigating the alleged sighting. So no word yet on whether they believe the person in that photo is Sebastian. And that was 5 hours ago. All right. I do know that Seth believed that it could be him. I don't know if that's getting misconstrued. I don't know. But either way, I appreciate everybody in chat. And again, if you have that minute mark, I'll listen to it. Nothing against people with things to say or show us. But I'm just saying the last 5 hours ago, authorities told a reporter that they're looking into it.
I mean, I do agree with the chat.
Nashville, TN,
Here we go. He's getting a call from Nashville, Tennessee.
Hello, Crime Stories Obsessed.
Yeah, is this the call-in show?
It is. Hi, you're live.
Hey, awesome. Hey, I heard somebody saying that they saw Katie's like mom or something with a kid. Is that really true?
It's difficult. That's what she said. I don't want to say too much on here without upsetting anybody that's listening, namely the person that just called in. But we were just questioning if there was anything, any confusion. But we are going to take it seriously and make sure the address, the details, everything she said is passed over to law enforcement. We're going to do that together when we finish on the call, so that we'll actually give them the call. They can listen to it themselves. What did you make of it?
I want to add this to that call then.
Yeah.
Okay, hold on. So the guest, I'm sorry, I don't know her name. She just said, and again, they get the state and the city that's being called in. So she said Nashville, Tennessee. And of course, there's a live chat going on right now. Her panel guest said, yes, it does sound like Chris. So it makes me think that chat was already on to like, this sounds like Chris. So again, now he knows that someone on panel has kind of identified him. So then he switches things up.
Because you're talking to Chris, the stepfather of Sebastian Rogers right now.
Oh, hi.
I thought
So here's the funny thing. The thing that
And you know what else is the funny thing? When he first called in, he had way more of like a Southern twang. And then all of a sudden the panel says like, yes, it does sound like Chris. Now all of a sudden he's like his regular voice. Like, you're speaking to Chris, the stepfather. It's like, what the heck? Like, why were you just pretending to be not yourself? And like with a thicker like country accent, Southern accent. That was so bizarre. And hello, Bella, and everyone else who has joined. Please hit the like button. Yeah, Crime Stories Obsessed is Emma. What's the other girl's name? Do you know, Linda? It's good to see you, by the way. I don't know. Yeah, make sure you guys hit the like button. We got to spread this story out there in Sebastian's name, of course. And it is a free way to help the channel. I'll be clear with that. Yeah, it's wild. Pointer lover. Like, what is going on right now?
lady was after spewing.
Yeah.
Absolutely crap.
Okay.
That's the funny thing.
Right.
Absolutely crap.
Thanks for calling in.
Yeah, no worries.
I didn't want to upset her.
Get all these answers and they want to get stuff straight. Well, let's get stuff straight. Let's put this out here for everybody to understand.
Yeah.
See, when you have people like that called into your show and they say they have all this information and when you asked the question, why didn't you call law enforcement? Her answer was because my son didn't want me to.
Yeah, there's an
That
issue.
right there's a red flag that is absolute BS.
But you've got to be careful what you say on here. I don't want to upset the woman. You know what I mean? She's given me the
I'm not
information.
upsetting her. I am stating the facts.
Yeah,
Because
you're right.
Because the reason why, I'm one of the parents. And let's talk about upsetting people, because you've got people that go on these shows and they say these kinds of things,
Mm-hmm.
and they don't use common sense. Because if she had the information, so you mean to tell me that you just went on a show with 44,000 subscribers that you have, and she openly admitted that she wouldn't call the cops but had information? What kind of person with a compassionate heart says something like that?
Okay, so here's where I'm at with this rant from Chris. I sort of get what he's saying. So I didn't play it, but you guys can go check out the whole stream. The woman who called in prior, she was an elderly woman, and she was, just giving her theory, something she had heard, and it's a call-in show. You guys know how they go. So I can kind of see why Chris is like, that was just BS. Like, if you had seen the child, like, you need to call the authorities. Like, I totally agree with that. I see his frustration. What's odd to me is he's, coming out, watching more YouTube, and you'll hear him say that he works nights and he woke up and this is what he wakes up to, this BS on YouTube. Like, why are you on YouTube though? Like, they asked him if he's been out searching, and he says, no, I just woke up and this is the BS I wake up to. And I work nights, blah, blah, blah. It's odd. Like, I understand following investigation, but it gets to the point where it's borderline. Like, are you just checking to see what people know? Are you checking to see, what people are onto when it comes to you? Like, we've seen in other cases that perpetrators, and I'm not saying that Chris is a perpetrator, I'm just saying from what we've seen in true crime, there are people who commit crimes and who follow the investigation very closely. They follow the reporting, they follow, the news and all that. So it just kind of, I don't know where it's at. Is it just somebody who is super curious about what social media is saying about them and they just can't help but like tune in to see? Or is it, something nefarious where it's like, I want to know who's on to things? I feel like, yes, they've said no signs of foul play, but they've also said everything is out and on the table. So it's kind of like, I have to, in my head, and I feel like everyone else does, we have to kind of like play out like, okay, so what's going on here? Like, is it just an innocent stepdad who's just, enthralled in finding out what happened himself, so he wants to know what the community is saying? Or is it somebody who's involved in the crime who's like can't help themselves but to follow up on what's being said about him? Like, I just don't know. And I'm seeing everybody in chat, well, not everybody, but red flags everywhere. Me too, in my opinion. Regardless of whether CP is innocent or guilty, he's an abusive, angry POS. The way he treats people is horrible. I mean, we've seen the way that he talks. Okay, Spirit Seeker Squad. Thank you so much. Spirit Seeker Squad, that's her name. I think I've seen her in chats before. He can't control himself. And you know what, Angela? This whole call, because I've heard, this is like my third-ish time listening to it, you can tell he's trying to control the situation, and you can't control YouTube. Like, you guys heard me getting frustrated earlier about false statements being put out there as facts. Like, you can't control like every person on YouTube, like, as much as we want to, and be like, no, like, stop it. Like, this is it, not that. You can't, but you can tell in this call, as I play it more, that he wants to control everything going on in the case, and you just can't. You really can't. Jay says red flags. He wants to bully potential witnesses from reporting. He wants to see how she would respond at first. Yeah, it's just very weird. Oh, thank you for subscribing, Laura. And I saw Melissa Jade in here. It's good to see you, girl. Hello. She says, have you left your DNA on the like button yet? All right. So again, yeah, he is a control freak. That for sure is clear. That much we know. Everything else we don't know.
Doesn't make any sense.
It's probably somebody with a bit of Alzheimer's, or somebody that's seen something on Facebook and has, you know.
Yeah, see, but once again, that's where it goes right back to speculations and assumptions, and then they put out false and misleading information. And unfortunately, it truly bogs down the investigation from law enforcement on every aspect.
It does.
So, I mean, and I'm sure Seth would agree with me, and so does Katie on this deal, but we really don't want the rest of the BS out there. We just want true hardcore leads that could actually lead somewhere, not
I understand
somebody who thinks they saw something and whatnot. We would just really call in and get those leads in if they feel that.
No, I agree. I agree 100%. The only problem is I'm a paramedic, so I understand you're going to get people that may have problems. They may have dementia, and they don't they don't realize. And if they were 30 years younger, they probably wouldn't call in because they know that it was just something that was in their mind that they'd seen earlier on say Facebook or somewhere. We can't medically diagnose somebody over here, but just by speaking.
No, I mean, you don't have to diagnose anybody over the air, but common sense, I don't care who you are, would say that if you have the information and you think it's a credible thing, you should call law enforcement regardless. I mean, how would somebody feel if their child went missing and they were in our shoes and they had all these people calling in and saying that they have spotted this child, they've seen this and they've seen that, but refuse to call it in?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, false tips are better than no tips, but true common sense on things like, when people say, well, I just didn't want to call it in, that is a red flag right there. Even with law enforcement saying this. Yeah. When people say,
she said her family didn't want her to get involved.
9 to 1.
Yeah, she said her family didn't want her to get involved, and there is probably a reason for that, like you said, but we don't know.
78 years old.
78,
Well, anonymous reporting is perfectly okay.
Yeah, she wasn't.
You don't have to give information. It has to come of it, but
we will pass
once
it
again,
across,
this just goes right back to where we keep asking everybody, if there's something, just reach out into law enforcement. Just all you gotta do is pick up the phone and call them. You don't wait.
But the thing is, it's not up to us as the public to sift through tips and work out what we feel is right and genuine and what's not. It's a case of this comes in, this is the information, you decide. It isn't up to us to I know what you're saying. It does bog them down with all this crap. But
I'm also saying that you've got folks that come in on your show.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And I'm being very respectful when I say this, but they're coming in on the show.
Mm-hmm.
And I would say this to any creator out there.
Mm-hmm.
When you have somebody that comes on your show and wants to make statements like that, and nobody stops them and asks them the questions that make common sense, like, okay, you don't want to get it reported. You don't want to be.
I totally agree, Letitia. Like the way, he is making it so, he's turned on the Chris that is the Chris that spoke to Chronicles of Olivia and the Chris who spoke to Nancy Grace. Like this is a face, this is a mask that he puts on. We've seen the real Chris, I think. It slipped out when he was on Websleuths and, even him trying to call in and act like it wasn't him at first. Very weird. Like, what's going on? You can tell someone told him to take it down a notch or two for bullying channel hosts. Yeah, it doesn't look good. Good night, Seth. Thanks for being here. It just seems like he's got many faces, it seems. But also, I agree with what he's saying with it, like, call law enforcement if you have something to say. I agree there. But I wonder how much of that is him wanting to control even the investigation. Hard to explain, but I just feel like there's a part of him. I've asked her, Seth, to come on. She's just very busy. Again, we have separate channels, separate lives. She's on TikTok a lot now too, and I don't really do the TikTok. I don't know about you guys, but yeah, I definitely miss teaming up with her, but she's not following this case, and she's not following Karen Reed, which we'll be discussing tomorrow night. So I definitely miss Kelly for sure, though. Yeah, Websleuths was the real Chris, in my opinion.
Involved, that's fine. There's also anonymous reporting that you can put out there, and that might help change the narrative as far as whether or not they want to report things. It's just looking out for all parties' interests. Yeah. Sebastian being number one, the missing child.
Yeah,
our son.
I understand that. But unfortunately, some people are going to have problems. It's.
Yes, happy. If my child was missing, I'd be thrilled if people were talking about him. Many families don't get the publicity for their missing children. Yes. And that's why I guess it's also strange to me that he's trying to control like what tips go where. If you have something to say, call law enforcement. It's like, yeah, but at the same time, like, you just can't control every little aspect. And I think that he's struggling with that.
It's difficult. We did get as much information. I don't think she was going to tell us anything about her. I did ask, but she gave us the information of the store. If they can listen to the call, can't they, for themselves? I'll give them the link. They can listen. If they find it a load of rubbish, they can just say no. They can decide for themselves.
But we're just help us out on your show and just keep pushing the narrative as far as if you see something, say something, don't wait.
Yeah.
Every time that somebody fails to make a report and they wait 2 days, that's 2 days behind on a report or a lead that could be substantial.
Well,
nobody actually knows where these go and how important they are.
We asked her multiple times, like, will you please call in? Multiple times. No. First, she said she didn't have a phone or she wasn't allowed to. And then she mentioned something about her son. It was just, I think as the call progressed, we could kind of work
but if
out.
you notice, people are having excuses. Didn't have a phone. My family doesn't involved. My son doesn't want me to report it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's kind of
still
odd.
could have seen
it's
his
very odd.
stepson. She might have seen him.
If a law enforcement person hears this, they're also going to be just doing the exact same thing. It's very odd.
I'd like to think they would look at all information that comes in. I would like to think that if I sent them the link to this and gave them the time, that they would listen to it and take it seriously.
But would you provide the phone number?
Yeah, if they want it, yeah, absolutely.
Oh, well, the thing that if you're going to send them the link, you would probably need to send them the phone number of the caller at the time, so that way they.
See how, like, even though he's trying to be nice, he just still is like controlling this whole. Yes, she knows. Emma knows that she wouldn't just send law enforcement the link. Like, she would obviously give them the, person's name who called, what city and state they were from, the number they called from. Like, the way that he is, it's like you realize that people are not idiots, right? Like, just because she's a female doesn't mean she needs you to walk her through every step. Like, I don't know. And the reason why I say female is because I haven't heard him speak to males. He only goes on channels that are females. He only is abrasive towards females. It's just something that I've noticed. I don't know. Oh, hi, Roxanne. I hope you're feeling okay. And thank you so much for the Cash App you sent. Thank you again, Melissa. Thank you all so much for being here with us. Yes, thank you. And thank you, Melissa.
They could reach out instead of having to do extra legs of work to find this person if you've got the information?
I've got all the information because it's a recorded call, so we're going to go back through it and write everything down, pass on the telephone number. They can make that decision and then they can decide what they want to do with it. I mean, I think we've already decided that it's probably nothing, but she seems to think she's seen him, whether it's because she's seen him somewhere else, like on Facebook. I don't know, but let them decide. But I know what you mean. It is annoying when when loads of people are sending in tips that are a load of rubbish. Yeah, I understand that. I do. So,
I mean,
have you been?
True. I mean,
have you been searching today? Then have you been busy?
I work nights, so I'm just now getting up, and this is what I got up to here.
Oh, you've been on night.
Have you noticed anytime he's like asked a question related to? So Nancy Grace asked Katie when she'd be going back to the house. Of course, this was weeks ago before she returned to the house. And she didn't answer, but Chris answered. She answers, but not right away. Chris says, I'm working. I got to work or something, blames it on work. Now here I'm going to ask him, are you out searching? Have you been busy? And he's like, I work nights, so I just got up to this. Like, well, that's not answering my question. Have you been out searching? Have you been busy? Like, it just, he blames, they are both back at the campground. He, uses work as his excuse. And it's almost interesting because that's sort of his alibi too, that he was out at work. And of course, authorities know whether or not he was really there or not. I'm sure something has checked out. Whether he left his phone there and left, we don't know. Now, the other thing I kind of wanted to update our information on too, which was something that I was kind of confused on, when we've said things like, I wonder what the black box for their vehicles say. These black boxes are not like airplane black boxes. So they're not going to record. Like if you go to the grocery store, it's not going to say, so-and-so Pointer Lover traveled from her house at blah, blah, blah to the grocery store 3 miles. She went 30 miles per hour and hit her brakes 3 times on the way there. It's not going to do that. It's only going to record significant incidences. So if Pointer Lover went to the grocery store and suddenly her airbag, something happened, God forbid. Or, anyone, don't even want to say just Pointer Lover, but anyone, you go in your car and something happens, then that's going to get recorded on your black box, quote unquote. So when we say things like, did Chris or Katie put their phones down at their home for that 3-hour call and then got in their cars and then met up, like we wouldn't know for sure if they ran the forensics on their trucks or vehicles. Like we're not going to know because it's not going to record anything unless it's significant. So unfortunately, it seems like you very well could have left your phone at home, got in your truck, as long as you're not speeding, as long as you're not getting in an accident, as long as, something significant doesn't happen to your car, like a tree falls on it or something, like it's not going to get recorded. So that was sort of disheartening to find out because we've kind of been discussing like, okay, I wonder what the data from their cars will say. Like that'll tell us, like not really. So again, it's unfortunate.
Yeah. I'm actually having to go back to work. I actually go back to work.
Do they use cranes during the night?
Cranes run 24/7 on certain job sites.
Oh, yeah. Over here they don't.
They may not run like that over in Europe. I'm not sure.
No.
I can't. I'm not going to speak for Europe.
Oh, okay then. Well, I appreciate you calling in, Chris. It's the first time I've spoken to you. Thank you.
Anytime.
Yeah, that's the thing too, VW, is how did they have all that data from Alex Murdaugh trial? They knew exactly where he went, what time, how fast he was based on the data from his vehicle. Yes, that's what I was wondering too. But this car expert was saying otherwise. In reference to the Karen Reed trial, he was stating like unless, you know, you're hitting something on impact, like unless there's something significant. So I do wonder, like, so wait, how did they get all that data from Alex Murdaugh's car? So that is something that's a good question, because that is something that chat was kind of wondering too when this expert was speaking on the Karen Reed case. Like, so wait, how did we get that from? However, Alex Murdaugh was speeding. He was going like significant rates of speed. So maybe that kind of triggered vehicle telematics can show the doors open, closed, vehicles in gears, taillights, etc. That's what I was under the impression at first. And then now I'm hearing from experts for Karen Reed, not at the trial, but speak on court TV, say like, no, it's not like an airplane where it tracks every little thing. So I think that's something that we could definitely look into. I think that if they've done that with their vehicles and something comes out where they were traveling at night, like right now, I feel like we would know maybe, unless, I don't know, unless they need to get a warrant to kind of pull those telematics from their vehicles, and they haven't done that. I really don't know. I know that they've said their vehicles were searched numerous times. I just don't know as far as the data pulled. You know, I guess time will tell. Maybe newer models, nicer cars have that capability and capacity. Yeah, that's the thing. It's like, she said her car was what, 2017? I don't know, guys. That's something that we're going to have to definitely wait and look into. But I have heard that it's not just, you know, every little move that you make in your car, it's recorded. So again, I'd love to be wrong, because we could definitely use that information from their vehicles that night. Thank you, Rosie. I really appreciate that super chat. Yes, I did watch the Nina's video. It was very, very insightful and definitely disturbing. And I definitely appreciate her coming out and sharing her story. I'm sure it was hard and traumatic for her to do so, and I believe her. I know a lot of people were trying to say like, well, your ex is going to say whatever they can to, you know, bash you because they're the ex. I believe her. So, and hello, Florida Bass. Good to see you.
Yeah, thank you.
So just appreciate it.
Okay, thank you very much.
All right.
Talk to you again soon.
Y'all have a good day.
You too. Bye.
All right. Bye.
And notice as soon as she starts asking, like, have you been busy? Have you been out searching? Of course, terrible British accent. Sorry, Emma. He kind of is like in a rush to get off the phone call. Like, he's not there to be questioned. He doesn't want to be questioned by people live unless he's, you know, in control of what's going to happen. For whatever reason, you know, he had to get off that phone call. So he basically went on there to excuse my French, to bitch and moan about what people are calling in and stating, you know. And as soon as he's questioned, like, have you been searching? Have you been busy? It's like, oh, I got to work. And yeah, you know, cranes run 24/7 here. I got to go. Like, what the heck? Okay. Thanks for calling in and trying to control the stream. I don't know, guys. So, okay, we're going back to the Websleuths interview. We never finished it. So I know people have probably already watched this. This was a long interview. I never got a chance to watch it all. I told you guys I would watch it with you guys. So again, that's what we'll be doing. And then we can pause and talk and all that. Now, we left off right around this time when they're talking about the belt and all that. I agree with Websleuths that using the belt on the child is abuse. Other people might not agree. And, you know, you're entitled to your opinion or how you want to do your raising of your children.
That was the last place he was seen.
Yes,
so
he was.
When we hear these things, it's like, okay, let's just clear it up and see what happened. Because I'll tell you why. Because people, I'm not saying me, but I've seen people say, hey, he was hitting his child. He reported it to his teacher. Did something happen? Was there an explosive incident that happened?
No, absolutely nothing of that nature.
Okay.
And for people to not understand, when you discipline a child, there's a difference in discipline and abuse. There truly is a difference.
But I think hitting anybody with a belt is abuse. I'm sorry, I do. And a lot of people agree with me, and that's the problem.
And
So we
guess
have a
what?
difference
That's
of
the
opinion.
great thing. That's the great thing about having your opinion.
Yes.
That's an opinion. That's not a fact. That's opinion.
Okay. I think a belt is abuse, but that's my, again,
Well,
that is my,
if I was leaving bruises and marks on a child, that's abuse. That would be considered abuse.
okay.
Yeah.
And I love how Gray chimes in. Yeah. First off, the psychological abuse that takes place when you're approaching a child with a belt, that in itself is abuse. So for Gray, sorry, Gray, but for you to chime, yeah. First off, does he even have children that he raises? Not anything against anyone who doesn't have kids, but like for him to chime in, like, yeah, as if he, I don't know if he does or not. You guys let me know. But the psychological aspect of approaching a child who is smaller than you, who, you know, it's just they're more vulnerable. Like Chris is a full-on man, you know what I mean? Like he approaching Sebastian, who also is special needs. Also is special needs. No, he has dogs. Oh, okay. Gotcha. But he's chiming in. Yeah. That infuriates me. Sorry, but wow. You don't understand the psychological abuse that could have on a child that takes, you know, into their adulthood to get over somebody approaching them with a belt. So it might not leave marks because it was on top of clothing, which I don't believe. It might not leave, you know, anything behind that shows the abuse, but what the heck? I'm sorry, I haven't heard this, so I didn't know that Gray chimed in like, yeah. Holy cow. You go through your whole life trying to reverse those nightmares from when you were a child and some adult was coming at you, who's not even your father, by the way. Not that it would make a difference, like that would still be psychological abuse. But holy cow. No, that is abuse, whether or not it leaves a mark or not. That's my opinion. You guys can agree or disagree. But I do know that there's instances, you know, people, adults try to overcome. Like, I remember this time when I was a kid and blah, blah, blah. And this took place and they might not have left a mark, but it scared them so much. It shook them to their core that is abuse. It's totally abuse, in my opinion. Psychological, mental abuse. You approach somebody who's inferior to you. Mind you, he's special needs. And that's fine, Lisa, that you disagree. I just would never claim hitting a child with special needs with a belt not abuse. Even if it doesn't leave a mark, it's still abuse. I was spanked as a child. I am 65. I never spanked my children. It's emotional abuse, in my opinion. It's abuse, any way you look at it. I'm sorry, but you don't hit a child with a belt, especially when it's not your child, especially when they are, you know, on the spectrum or special needs.
I mean, so by definition,
that's weird.
That's what I'm trying to get y'all to understand. You can say your opinion, and that is fine, but you have to back it up and say, what I'm stating is just an opinion. There's no fact to it. When you don't say that, you leave it open to interpretation for a lot of people to take it and run with it. That was a lot of the problems with this.
And there will be people, I can get people from CPS that will say hitting a child with a belt is an abuse. But here's the thing, you're right. That doesn't have anything to do necessarily with Sebastian and his disappearance. But what it does is it creates a narrative in people's minds that we need to clear up and change, Chris. We need to clear it up and change it. Okay, so let's do that.
So we just did.
Okay. If now you did go on Nancy Grace and say that CPS has never been called, and
no, that's not. No. Nope.
Okay, that's what I heard. What did you say?
She asked the question about a situation, and she asked me if I had ever had CPS called on me. I believe is what the question was. I'm going to tell you right now, I don't exactly know what the question was without hearing it again. So I'm not going to answer you with something without having it in front of you.
Okay, that's fair. That's very fair. Very fair. And so let's move on. Okay, so nothing came of that from you hitting him with a belt. Has there ever been any, and people are going to ask, has there ever been any violence in your home as far as Sebastian is concerned?
No.
Okay. Now Gray asked, why is Seth being treated so different? Because of how Chris came on and became so angry and did what you did tonight, Chris. You've done this before. And I think that's why. And Seth didn't. And I think that's the difference.
Right. Because I don't feed out of people's hands. I don't feed into what people think. I don't. And once again, that's the difference.
But how about just saying thank you to the people that want to help you?
Okay, well, that's simple. There's a difference in me saying thank you to everyone, which if you go back and listen to every single interview I have done, I have told everybody, thank you, thank you, thank you for everything that you have done. There's not enough thank you in this world. We can't begin to describe how much we appreciate it. I have said this. Go back to one video and show me where I haven't. I've also said that our family prays for everybody else, and we love you all, regardless of what you think. But you know what? Once again,
yeah, I think when his first interview, you got to admit, his first few interviews were really calm. The one on, can't remember the names of their channels, but like, you know, he was on multiple channels, calmly talking. Both of them were, and yet the public was already angry with him before he became angry on a show because that was definitely later. You got to admit, like his first 3 or 4, both of them.
And I can tell you why. Because he said he hit Sebastian with a belt. That made people angry.
Which interview was that?
It was the very first one I heard. With I can't remember.
Smiley stories. I can try to pull up a transcript at some point.
Yes, it was on the Smiley story. Yes,
that one.
Okay,
but
yeah, but I mean, here's the thing: there is a perception. See, look at
there you go.
I just want to say this: when I was growing up, my mom spanked me with a belt, wooden spoon, everything, and she's the greatest mom I've ever. I mean, like just.
I can't even stand to like hear these guys talk. I'm sorry, I have to fast forward Gray a little bit. Does he get off on stream any point? Now he's talking about how much he loves and respects his mom. Like, okay. But yet you said, even if it doesn't leave a mark, it's not abuse. I don't understand these people. Sorry.
Or has he ran off? No.
Okay.
I'm not sure if that's how you were asking it, but
no, I'm glad
that answered it.
That's perfect. No, that's great. And again, I swear to you, Chris, we're not trying to be hostile. In fact, I've spoken on this live channel before and said, if Chris ever came here, we would treat him with total respect and honesty. And I really am trying to help because I want people to get behind you and Katie, Chris, because I want people to help find Sebastian. And it's just such a bizarre thing. I mean,
it's a bizarre case. Yes, it very much so is.
And so Sebastian leaves, but he's not on anybody's camera. Is that what the police have said? Or are you allowed to say?
I can't go into details on that, but here's what I will tell you that's public. Our subdivision is very dark. There's no street lights in the subdivision whatsoever. If you go online, Google it, whatever, you'll see that there's absolutely no street lights in the subdivision. None.
Right.
If is there a possibility that some cameras may not pick up somebody walking in front of them because of how dark it is? Yes.
Okay. That would be the only thing that would make sense, really.
Right.
Well, he even told me, I remember when he told me that like even some detectives didn't show up on the cameras.
Correct.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. Yeah. That makes perfect sense then, because that's been driving everybody crazy. But if it's so dark,
and I know, and it's hard for it.
That's interesting. Like that, Chris told Gray behind the scenes that some cameras didn't pick up the detectives. It's interesting that, you know, because you could take that comment both ways. You could take it as like, yeah, you know, it's so dark, it's unfortunate, you know, that they couldn't even pick up people like investigating this because it's so dark. Or you can look at it as Chris, you know, finding that information out, like being reassured, like, okay, good. Like that. I'm just saying, you have to look at both scenarios. They said no foul play, but everything is on the table. So are people who are involved in this relieved that, you know, investigators wouldn't even show up on the cameras? Just saying.
Trust me, for everyone out there that, you know, cameras will pick up and all this. No, I promise you, not all cameras have the best quality as, you know, I mean, the stuff that you see on TV and, you see a demo of a camera in a store. It's different when you put it on a house and different elements. So, you know.
Okay, so it was so dark that it is logical to conclude that the cameras that Sebastian would have walked by, did not pick him up. And that's something that is logical that people can accept. Absolutely. I think this is a good question. Did Sebastian ever have nightmares? Could he have had one that scared him so badly that he took off? Has he ever had bad nightmares?
He's had sleeping issues. I mean, look, he doesn't really sleep a lot. That's why he's been, but that's been his whole life. That's not just been like a segment. I'm pretty sure, I believe Seth has even mentioned this before as well. I mean, the only time, like, I've seen a couple times where he slept really well, but I mean, that's after a hard day of playing, if he's helped with outside work, but for the most part, he's had issues sleeping.
And that's a big help in understanding this. Has he ever done anything like hid under a neighbor's car or anything like that?
Well, I'm going to say we have never seen anything like that. There's been somebody that has said something to that effect, but I'm not going to sit here and say for a fact, yes, he has.
Okay.
Like I said, I don't have an answer for that.
I got a question. I got one for you. Do you think it's possible that he could have left in the evenings on other nights, like at 1 a.m, and came back through the front door and nobody would have known? Like on other, like let's say a dry run, for example, like he got up in the middle of the night at 1, went out the front door and then came back in and nobody would have known, right? Because you don't have a camera and he knows.
Not that I'm aware of.
They literally have said numerous times that he's not a runner. He's never run off. Just saying. Like, why are we giving him like scenarios? They've already kind of answered this question in the past numerous times. He's not a runner. He's never run off. He doesn't have a history of running away. What the heck?
Not that Katie was aware of. I mean, I will say this, and this is for the record. I'm not going to tell you what he does and doesn't do at his father's house. Those are two separate households.
Okay.
And Sebastian is one way at our house. He's a different way at his father's house.
Okay.
That is something that we've all had mutual respect on, all the parents together.
Can you answer, was he planning to go live with Seth?
Yes.
Okay. And was he excited about it?
No.
Okay.
At one point he was, but no.
Do you know why he changed, why he wasn't excited?
Yes, because he was informed that he will be doing online schooling vice in-person school.
Okay. Was there a reason for that?
That's personal matters in my family that will not be discussed with anybody.
Understood. And I respect that. Thank you. He was on medication. Did he get his medication changed recently?
When you say recently, can you define recently?
Well, I mean, like, I don't know, maybe within the last few months. I'm trying to think of something that maybe would have changed his behavior for some reason.
It's really hard to say yes or no to that, just because he goes and sees his doctors, and then in there they will talk about his medication and things that they want to change or if it needs to change.
Right.
But I mean, as far as I know, I'm not. I didn't see any difference, but.
And is it? And again, this.
That's interesting observation. Letitia says, I think punishment escalated from removing the cats from the home, his favorite snake, making him wear diapers, taking his furniture out of his room, and possibly making him sleep in the garage. Yeah, the whole mattress in the garage is strange. We do know from, I think, Nina, that she said, Sebastian and the stepsister weren't allowed to like be near each other and stuff. I don't know. Something very weird and controlling, obviously, with Chris.
This is just something that people want to know. Is it common for you and Katie to talk as long as you did that night?
Sure.
Okay. Seth is here.
Oh boy, Seth's here. Okay, so is it common for you guys to talk as long as you did that night? Very interesting how he answers with sure. I don't know. That didn't sound like a very affirmative yes. Is it just me?
I've asked him to join us. Insightful One, if Seth jumps on, can you please put him on the screen, because I can't because of my computer.
Right. I got it.
Thank you.
Have you guys seen the dog scent track? That because you actually showed it to me, right? Remember on the map, Chris? I don't know if you're interested in. It was kind of an interesting route Up the
Well,
street.
and are you referring to the like day 1 through 4 dog tracks? Because some of those are
Well,
maybe
he
not
had like a dog scent outside the front door and
Yeah.
sort of around by where the fixed light was on the flashlight, and then north, and then around to like a retention pond, something like that. Just short of it.
Stacy, I believe Seth is here.
Yep, I got.
Seth, I am so glad that you are here, my dear. Thank you very much. Seth, what would you like to say now?
I got a few questions to ask Chris.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
You can. Yes, he can hear you.
Hey, Chris. So why is it that you texted me the other day about something I'd already sent Katie an email?
Say it one more time. All I heard was something about an email sent.
Why did you text me about an email I sent on Monday to Katie?
Because I didn't see the information in what you're referring to as Tony Mathis's phone number. I didn't see it. So that's why I asked for it.
I mean, come on, Chris. If we're going to work together, more than a week communication between the people that I'm sending stuff to you and Katie.
Okay, so hear me out.
Properly.
I told you. I told you.
Okay.
I told
Let's
you
not come
Seth,
into
that we will
hot,
work
okay?
together.
All right.
I explained to you I'm willing to work with you. You asked me some questions in regard to this dog handler. You asked me questions in regards to going on a social media platform. You've asked me questions about hiring a PR person that will speak for all of us and keep everybody off of these platforms. That's what you asked. Now, if you think I'm not going to do my homework and dig into people and find out who they are first, you're crazy. Because I would expect you to do the exact same thing if I gave you a name.
I don't know what's going on, but did that solve it? I hope.
Oh,
Seth?
Seth gone. It looks like.
Uh oh. I think. Wait, is this Seth? Did Seth jump off? Let's see. We've got me, Stacy.
Yeah. How about I'll get off the panel. I'm sure that'll make a lot of people in the chat happy. But I just wanted
stop it.
I just wanted to say that, you know, I understand what I've seen. What I've seen from the beginning is that there was sides chosen. Now I know you're saying because of this and because of that, but it was Seth good, Proudfoot's bad, and everybody has been in those camps, and they never really got a chance to breathe, and that's probably why Katie went to be with him, because she probably was scared to stay at home by herself, given these lunatics like JLR, et cetera, running around chanting and screaming. It's insane.
I agree. It's horrible.
That's what I think. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
it should not be that way.
That's just kind of where I'm coming from. I appreciate communicating with him. We've had nothing but good conversations, and that's it. I mean, that's all I can do. And I've never seen anything that made me go, God, ooh, that's, you know, it's weird. I mean, I don't know. I watch the same things you guys have. But anyways, yeah, see you later, guys out there.
Okay. See ya.
Take care, Greg.
Bye.
Does anybody know where Seth went?
I'm working on it.
Okay, thanks.
I do know. I think up in his area, he doesn't have like the greatest signal, because a lot of times when we talk, his
You know what?
phone, he will drop.
Do you want to ask him if he wants to call me rather than go on the internet? Just call me on the phone, and I can put him on and it'll be a really, really strong signal. I mean, it'll sound really good.
Well, I think it's just like his cell signal up there is not the greatest.
Oh, it's a cell. Okay.
Yeah.
But if he wants it,
I mean, if he's on his cell phone, let me.
Does Seth come back on? Does anyone know?
Heather, if you want to give him my number, and Chloe has it, feel free. And he can, if it's better for him to call me rather than to jump online.
I'm texting him.
Okay, we can do that. So, hey guys, I don't want to talk about other creators in chat, so let's not do that. Okay.
Yeah.
So
Agree.
yeah, let's just. I mean, I don't want to give them any.
Right. So let's get to our next question.
Okay, next question. Let me take a look at my notes. Yeah, because I just wrote some things down. Have you had? And I may have asked this and I forgot, Chris. My mind is sometimes mush. Have you had search dogs inside the house and outside?
Yes, ma'am, I have. Yes, I sure have.
And what did the dogs hit outside?
So, as you know, if anybody has followed Mr. Gray's, what he was talking about, the dog and the trail and the scent and the overlay on the picture. So they're anywhere from 13 to 18 different dogs have been involved in this search. Now, on day one, there was 5 dogs. 5. There's an audio dispatch tape that's been released. I don't know who released it. Whatever, I don't have it, but you'd have to dig it and find it. In that audio tape, you actually hear that the deputy sheriff does state that the dog hints toward a scent and takes over off to the retention pond and the construction site next door.
Okay.
Now, other dogs did the exact same thing. Now, am I going to say every single dog? No, but I do know of at least 3 dogs that went on the same scent trail, same path. The rest of the dogs, I'm not going to tell you that they are 100% honest and perfect and accurate, because honestly, dogs are only probably 25% reliable when it comes to a scent.
Okay.
Now, 8 days.
I'm sorry, but we've gone through this numerous times. Dogs are much more reliable than it seems Chris understands or Chris tries to convey. I don't know if he's trying to discredit the dogs that picked up the scent that go to the retention pond and over to the construction site, but he's gone around Facebook. We've shared the post. The last 2 live streams on this case, we've shared Chris's own words, basically saying like, these dogs aren't as accurate as you all think. It's like, wouldn't you want that information to be accurate? Like, oh my gosh, they tracked him to the pond and to that construction site. Like, that must be something that we must have found something, or that could be it. But instead, he does the opposite and tries to say like, no, don't, we really can't believe it. We can't rely on it. They're not as accurate as you think. Just like the flashlight scenario. Remember when everyone was like, okay, so they came out and they said they're not flashlights. Is that correct? And he says to Nancy Grace, that's very correct. And like in other interviews, he wanted to make sure like, yeah, those were not flashlights. I wish they were. It's like, how do you know? You weren't there. It's just very bizarre how he wants to discredit the flashlights and he wants to discredit the dogs.
I've had dogs in my house the first 8 days. In my house, outside my house, around the neighborhood. So,
So they've been there, and so they did, you're saying they did hit and they all went to that pond?
No, I didn't say all that. I just told you I've had 13 to 18 dogs in my house and around my house. I told you 3 different dogs hit on the same path that go to that retention pond.
Right.
I'm
That's
not going to say that every other dog.
Not every dog, but some dogs hit. Okay.
Right. So, but I want this to be crystal clear.
Okay.
So when people say every dog, that is not the case. 3 dogs went on the same path.
Okay.
That is all that we have on that. The rest of these dogs go in different directions, but it's all unreliable.
Understood. We do have a question from Michelle. Chris, was Ellie able to go in and search the cave they said had collapsed about 10 feet in? I haven't heard this.
Okay, so Ken Widener is the EMA director for Sumner County. They called in all kinds of stuff, got layouts of where these caves were. I don't believe, and I'm not telling you by the gospel, I don't believe they were able to get into certain caves because they were not safe to enter.
Okay, hold on about the caves. So he leaves the whole dog conversation with, they are not reliable. Have you guys ever heard in any other case that we've ever looked at where somebody has said the dog's work on the case are not reliable? I have never, ever heard anybody tied to a case, whether they were, a guilty party or not. Like, I've never heard any of them try to say like, yeah, the dogs that were working on it, they're not reliable. I've never heard that.
The one that she is referring to that collapsed, honestly, we know that the one collapsed, but we don't believe they had anything to it.
Got it. Okay. Let's see here. Let me get my notes. I was taking notes while we were talking. Let's see here. Hold on. So people have been asking, and I don't mean to sound insulting, but people are asking, are you searching? Are you putting up flyers? That's what they're asking.
Yes, we are.
Okay.
Yes, and here's why they're asking that question. No, you're not going to find pictures of us out there doing this because it's real simple. We, all 3 parents, initially were told in the beginning not to go out and search, that we needed to be available to talk to law enforcement.
Right.
Yeah.
Seth has been out there searching and doing his thing. He's had a bunch of people following him. Whether or not he chose that or these people decided to do it on their own accord, that's not for me to say. But we, Katie and I, are not going to have some big, massive search party following us around with a bunch of people that were already threatened death threats, by the way, to us. I'm not doing that. If you were in my shoes, you'd do the same thing. You listen to law enforcement. You do what they tell you to do. Yes, we're out there putting up signs. Yes, we're out there putting up flyers. Yes, we are searching.
Chris, I'm sorry. Did you just say you guys are getting death threats?
Yes, we've been getting death threats. And they have been reported to the TBI. Everything gets forwarded, screenshot, and sent straight to them.
Wow. Okay.
Okay, everyone, I have Seth on my phone, on my JBL speaker. Seth, I want to give you a chance to talk uninterrupted. So please, go ahead.
All right. Mainly, Chris, the communication needs to be a little bit more prompt. If I send you an email on Monday and Tuesday, I'm not willing to wait a week to get a response back. I mean, that's unacceptable when we're trying to find Sebastian, buddy.
I understand what you're saying. I respect that. But when it comes to you asking people to come into my house on my property, who I don't know Adam from Eve, and I really don't care what certification, who can vouch for these people, I don't care. I'm going to do exactly what I have always been doing. You send that to me,
okay,
we're going to review it, and then we're going to send it to law enforcement. Let law enforcement go that route, and then when law enforcement comes
for us.
Hold on.
Oh my gosh. So since Seth has gotten the PIs, he's wanted to take his experts in and do their own investigation. And he emailed Katie about it, hasn't got a response. So he's confronting Chris, like, why, when can we do that? What's going on? You're not answering. I don't want to hear from you like days and days later. Like, we want to look. My PIs want to do their own investigation. Sounds like Chris isn't allowing that to take place. And he's saying, we'll let law enforcement, no, PIs work alongside of law enforcement. They do their own, and it's like, I thought you wanted to find Sebastian. So shouldn't we pull out all the stops and help find him? And yet he's controlling, once again, everything that's taking place. Like, I understand, like, oh, I don't really want like strangers in my house. Like, I'm not going to be there. I'm here and I don't know what they're going to touch or this and that. I understand that to a certain level, but if your child's missing, and this goes to Katie too, how are you not emailing Seth or calling him back saying like, yes, here, I'll give you the punch pad key for the front door and you can go in with your experts. Like, please, anything you got to do, just do it. I don't care if you have to destroy the house, like whatever you guys need to do. Let's see if this will help or bring any more leads. And yet it sounds like to me, Seth is frustrated because Chris isn't allowing that to take place. And that's red flag.
Beyond your property.
Hold on, Chris. Chris, hold on one second. Hold on. Seth, what did you say?
I said the person to be our spokesman to speak for all three of us doesn't need to be on your property.
Okay,
but
you're correct. You are very correct.
To him.
I have spoken to him.
When?
And I'm going to make this public. I am back working, and I have work hours. I also have to sleep. And unfortunately, I'm on the opposite schedule of you. So respect that.
Once again, here's Chris using work as an excuse for, some questionable behavior.
I will do what I can, as I can, when I can.
I'm sorry, Seth, go ahead.
When did you speak with him, Chris?
What does that got to do with finding Sebastian?
If he's going to be our spokesperson, I was just asking when you spoke with him.
I haven't come up with an answer yet. We spoke with him. We told him we'll get back with him after we've done some consideration and talking with law enforcement.
The clock is ticking. Sebastian has been missing for over 60 days. And you're saying that you'll get back to him once you, check things out. Like, what? Are you kidding me? We don't have time for you to wait and control this scenario. We got to get in that house with the PIs. Like, just let us. Poor Seth.
We'll get back to it and we'll let him know our decision.
So
I know you're on board with that. I do. I mean, I know you're 1,000% on board with Mr. Mathis. I got that. I'm not taking that away from you.
So, Chris, I understand like every marriage is different and husband-wife aspect. You seem very protective of Katie and her having conversations with or without you. But like I said before you came on, I do believe that Katie is the one who, and I'm not saying it's because she knows what happened to Sebastian, but she was the last person that was with him. And so she does hold the most information, at least up until the point that he went missing.
What information do you think she holds?
Well, I'm going to get to that.
Well, then do me a favor. Let's just get to it.
Okay.
Don't pour gravy on the mashed potatoes. Just serve the stuff up.
Chris, I'm really trying to be respectful, and this is a very
I am too. So please just get to it.
Okay.
No,
so we would really love to hear from Katie about his body language that day. You know, we've heard from others who are you know, not necessarily good sources about his body language at the bowling alley and his body language here and there. And so we're just really trying to pick up on Sebastian's mood because it could help us understand what led to him walking away off the front porch out the front door.
Well, that is something that if she decides to answer, that's on her. But what I know is even on video, Sebastian was having a great day. He was in a great mood. He got to go to BJ's. He had a colossal popcorn. He hung out with family. He went and played video games at Strike and Spare. After that, he went and had dinner at Roadhouse, Texas Roadhouse. He ate his whole meal. I mean, everything in the video, even the videos that Seth has seen, he doesn't show any negative signs of he's upset or anything like that. As far as we all know, Sebastian had a great day.
No, I mean, it sounds like a really great day. I mean, they did a lot. I was just curious. And like I said, I mean, every relationship is different and you're protective of Katie and who she communicates without you. And I think that has been a little bit difficult.
But right, hold on a second. But for the record, Katie can speak when she so chooses. And she's done interviews without me.
No, I'm not talking about interviews.
But she spoke without me.
I have something to say about her speaking without him. So he says in an interview something about this being a tragedy. Of course, I can't find that interview, but I know that he called it a tragedy. And then she does her interview, the most recent one, and that's how she pretty much describes the situation, a tragedy. So to me, even when he's not there, she's repeating things that he has said. I don't know if he's given her the script, if they come up with it together. Maybe it's just you're repeating things because, you know, you kind of pick up on things that your significant other say anyways. But it's just him kind of saying like, you know, she speaks without me, blah, blah, blah. It's like, oh, wow, good for her. You allow that? How kind of you.
Okay.
I want to clear up something that Chris said about Sebastian going to live with Seth. And Chris, you may ask, what does this have to do with Sebastian missing? It's all part of the narrative. It could mean he ran away. And that is, Chris, did you not say that he was not looking forward to going to live with his father?
Yes, I did state that.
Seth, did you know this?
Nope.
Chris, do you want to elaborate?
I'll tell you why.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. I will be glad to elaborate.
Become a question.
Hold on, Chris. Hold on. I'm sorry, Seth. Start over. And then Chris, we'll go to you. Seth, go ahead.
But I know why I was putting him in online school. He needed his therapy. That actually have been started with ABA, so on and so forth, before I put him back into the situation, because he's not ready for certain things.
Okay. So he was going to go.
I'm not going to set my son up for failure. I want my son to succeed.
He was going to homeschool until he was ready to go back to regular school. Is that what you're saying?
Correct. And it's not really homeschool. I mean, it's an online school.
Okay. Online, right? Online school. That's a better term. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have said homeschool. Right. Online school. Totally different.
Really quick, Chris, the day that they had on Sunday with the spaghetti pancakes and bragging to family and BJ's and Texas Roadhouse and bowling and all of these, like, it sounds like the best day ever. Was that like a normal weekend for them, or was it like, I don't know. Was that like their normal weekend?
Right. Well, do me a favor. Let's pause that question because you just diverted away from what she asked, and let's clear this out.
Okay, go ahead.
We
Chris.
want the facts. Let's get the facts straight.
Okay.
So yes, I did tell you Sebastian was not excited about going to his father's house because online school.
Online
Seth
school.
was aware of this because Seth stood in my house with me, Katie, and Sebastian in my kitchen and had this conversation where Seth asked his son about, you don't want to go to online school? And Sebastian's retort was, no, I don't. But I don't really care about playing tit for tat. I understand that this may be a reason why he wanted to run away, so to speak, if that's the case.
Right.
But we're not going into this. We're not going to play this tit for tat on social media. We're not doing this.
Okay, Seth, go ahead.
Chris, unbeknownst to you, had already talked to Sebastian. He knew this wouldn't be a permanent thing. And me and him had already spoken.
Well, that right there's a conversation you should have had with Katie and myself about what your plans were.
I'm sorry, do you want?
Say that one more time. I'm sorry.
What Seth was saying is that if I had known the conversation that him and Sebastian had, then I would know the whole thing. But the downside is that's where Seth should have had that same conversation with me and Katie. And that didn't happen. But this goes right back to, here's the thing. If you're saying that because he didn't want to go live with his dad, he potentially ran away, is that a possibility? Sure. We'll put that out there.
Okay.
But quite honestly, what goes on between Seth, me, his mom, and our household is none of the public's business. If it had something to do with his disappearance, I would understand that, but it doesn't.
Well, we don't know that.
Well, I understand that. That's why we're making this clear.
And that's why I asked about his day, because I
Let's
didn't
go back
know.
to the day. Okay, go ahead.
And see, Chris like still doesn't understand. Like, just because you say your home life and what goes on at home doesn't have anything to do with the disappearance, like, doesn't make that the truth. It's just so controlling of like the narrative.
No, okay. So Chris, you don't know me very well. I have 2 decades of experience working with autistic children in different capacities. So I do understand they are all different. I do understand that day may have been very overstimulating for him. So that's why I was asking if that was a normal day for him. And if it wasn't, that just gives me more information that maybe he was very overstimulated that day.
Chris?
All right, so one more time, I'm so sorry.
I was just saying, in my experience with autistic children, obviously they're all different. But if this was not a normal day for Sebastian on Sunday, when he went and did all of these things, and it sounds like he was gone from home for a while, if this wasn't a normal day for him, would this have been an overstimulating day for him? Is this something normal? Does he normally go to BJ's and bowling and all of these things on a weekend, or was this kind of like a special thing? And if it was a special thing, what caused it to be special? Was there an occasion?
If it was a special thing, a mother and a son bonding and just having a good time.
I'm not being ugly at all.
I'm not. I'm just.
And see how he can't even just say like, yes, it's a regular weekend. He's got to get like defensive, like, oh, if it's a special thing, a mother and son bonding. Like, no. Like, we just want to know, like on Sundays, because Katie did say that she had reading to do for homework for school, on a night that you have school work to do, would it be normal for you to, spend time with family? Because remember, they picked up the cousin or whatever. They go to BJ's, they go to bowling, they came back home, unloaded the groceries or whatever, and then they go back out for Texas Roadhouse. Like, is that normal? He can't even just say like yes or no. Like, this is a question that we've all kind of been wondering. And I think that she's getting at is, was this just a regular thing? And this is just has absolutely nothing to do with what ended up happening. And it's just kind of like, yeah, he had a great last day together with us. Like, it's so sad. Or is this a situation where again, you have to play both sides. Either, there's foul play or there's not. Right now, they're saying no signs of it. But if they're saying also everything's out on the table, then can we also explore the idea that let's give him the best last day that has with us, and then you guys, I think, can figure out the rest,
I'm making
is this a normal day for them on a weekend? For them to do
our days fluctuate. Monday through Friday, we're a working family, just like everybody else out there. And when the weekend comes, that's when you get a lot of stuff done. You go a lot of places, you do a lot of things. And a lot of times that's where, you know, you go and spend time with your kids and do extra things. Sebastian's not in sports like most kids. So we don't spend ball time at the ballpark. You know, when Seth has Sebastian on the weekends, he goes and does fishing and things like that with Sebastian just as well. I mean, Seth works long hours. I work long hours.
And I'm not saying any of that is
gotta,
suspicious at all, Chris. I'm just asking if that was normal. Because if it wasn't normal and he was overstimulated, that could be a reason for him to have ran out of the house.
No.
See, also that scenario. So like she's kind of saying like maybe he was overstimulated, something, you know, triggered him and he had to leave due to him, you know, just the way that he is. And or like I said, was it something where it's like, yes, let's set it, you know, premeditated, I'm basically saying.
He was not overstimulated.
Okay, so that wasn't one of the possible reasons for him to leave.
Here's what I'll say. Everything is on the table. Nothing has been taken off the table, period. That's the same statement law enforcement has made. That's the same statement I'm going to tell you every single day in and day out.
Katie gave my son to your mother and father. I'm sorry, I shouldn't say that.
Say it one more time.
Do you not want to say that? Well, we can move on. So
No. I want to hear it.
There's a rumor out there, Chris,
that
your mom and your dad have Sebastian. It's been brought up to me.
Seth, you know darn good well. You got a question about my
I'm just
mother.
asking.
You pick up the
Are they
phone.
taking somewhere to lead a boot camp or anything like that? And Katie just thought I wouldn't accept it.
I don't think Seth is being accusatory. I think he's just trying to clear up a bunch of BS that's been online.
Right. And I'm trying, and I'm telling you, if he's had this suspicion, he's got my mother's phone number. He can pick up the phone and call her. She is not afraid to answer any
Chris, I'm
questions.
not saying you. I don't want to talk to your mom. I want to talk to you, and I want to talk to Katie.
Well, it's real simple, Seth.
To put it to the rest.
You have seen the video footage of Seth on Sunday. Don't tell me you hadn't. I know you have. You sat in a room with all the agents.
No, they didn't.
Seth is saying, I've heard a rumor that your parents have Sebastian. So that's where this conversation is headed. Usually I end things at an hour and a half, but things have gotten spicy. So I'm just going to sit here and listen with you guys and eat my burrito. So hope you guys don't mind. We're going to go a little longer. And for replay viewers, I know that, you know, they kind of get annoyed when streams are long, but I'm sure they've already heard all this by now and I need to hear it all.
Show me the video footage, buddy.
So you didn't see, you weren't sitting in a room with law enforcement, the district attorney, when they showed you a video, when you wanted proof of life, saying that you hadn't seen proof since Friday. When you've been at my house the first 3 damn days.
Chris, let Seth speak. Go ahead, Seth.
Chris, they showed me video proof of him coming out of Texas Roadhouse on Sunday.
On a Sunday night. You damn right.
Just, Chris.
Seth, I got a problem with you sitting here making these accusations. Because if you got a problem with them, guess what?
Let's watch it.
I think we're just trying to talk things out. And I don't even know if this should be public, honestly.
Same.
Okay, here's all the public knowledge you need on this deal. Law enforcement has talked to my parents, my whole family. Once again, this statement is true, what law enforcement says. Just because you hear a rumor doesn't make it true.
Chris,
I don't think he said it was true. I think he's just trying to clarify.
That's not clarifying. No, stop sitting here trying to defend his actions. Stop.
Okay.
The fact is, Chris, is I'm trying to squash the rumor. We're both here. Squashing the rumor.
Seth, there is no rumor. You know my parents were.
And yet there is that rumor and it's been going around for a while. And I can understand. Now I'm going to kind of, you know, go both ways here. I understand Chris being, you know, annoyed by this. Like, really, you're going to bring my parents into this? We're on a live stream right now. Like, absolutely not. But at the same time, you know, this is Seth's son, his biological son. And Chris himself has said, like, that's my son. I loved him like he was my own. Well, then you should probably understand why Seth is kind of frustrated and maybe saying things that like sound crazy. You know, you would think that there'd be something in Chris right now where he could tone down the defensiveness. Like, although I do understand, like, okay, don't bring my parents into this, dude. Like, this has nothing to do with, like, come on, you know that. But at the same time, the way he handles things, like, that's Seth's son. Like, if he has something and Chris is all about, like, yeah, I'm going to squash these rumors, but then yet saying, like, you know, this rumor just can't be squashed. It's just, yeah, it's unfortunate because I just feel so bad for Seth. And thank you so much, Lori, for gifting 10 memberships, and welcome to the new members. And if you guys have a chance to thank Lori, she's right here in chat.
We're not with Katie on Sunday.
All I'm doing, Chris.
No, you're causing a problem because you know damn good and well where my parents were at their house on Sunday night. They weren't near Katie. They weren't near Sebastian. And if you've got a problem, all you got to do is pick up the phone and call her. Be an adult. Be a responsible adult. And just call her.
Chris. Can you hear me, Chris?
Oh, I can hear you.
Because all I'm hearing is anger and attitude from you. What I'm trying
And you
to
should,
do
Seth. You should. Because what you're doing is bullshit and you know it.
Okay, stop.
Okay,
People
all
are
right,
talking
enough.
over each other.
Enough.
Seth, go, and then Chris, go. Please, Seth, and then Chris. Thank you.
Chris, a unified front squashes rumors together. That's all I am stating.
Okay, Chris.
This is a rumor floating around, and I would like us to squash it.
Yeah, I think that is a great rumor to try to squash. That one's on Facebook, and the rumor is actually that about your mom, her car being parked at like Worsham's and him getting
Okay, so here's the answer. The final answer to this.
It's not just an online rumor because people have driven up to me and personally spoken about this.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, can I make the statement? This is very simple. This conversation has nothing to do on social media. You want to have this conversation, Seth? You call me, you get Heather, you get Chloe on the phone. Hell, I'll do you one better, and I will get Bobby and Carter on the phone, and we'll all sit down and have this little fucking powwow.
We're not going to have a powwow like that, but I would
Well, then guess what?
the situation, and I would love for it to be private because I believe a lot of what is happening right now should not be public.
So explain to me why you don't want Bobby and Carter involved.
I didn't say I didn't want Bobby and Carter involved. I said I was referring to your tone, which is very angry.
Oh, I'm very pissed.
I know that. I think we just all need to take a breath because no one is accusing anyone of anything. We are trying to dispel things. Because in turn, dispelling these things will take
so full of
some of the BS off of you.
Whoa. That was uncalled for. And Chris, I mean, I do understand your anger, but I know these ladies. I don't know Seth. I just know what I've seen. But these ladies are not full of shit.
And also, I mean, Seth is lack of sleep, etc. We all know that. Kelly asked a good questions. Why can't law enforcement post up around Chris's family's home and watch? Is this an option anywhere? I believe personally, especially because this rumor about family members having Sebastian has been going out for a while, like not even just Chris, but there's something about an aunt and all that. I believe personally that law enforcement has done surveillance on people related to this case and in and around it. That's just my opinion. Obviously, I don't know that for a fact, and they can't just walk in. I mean, unless they have like a significant lead. But I do think that they have kind of followed up on certain rumors regarding the family. You know, this is an Amber Alert, and a lot of Amber Alerts are put out there from family members who have taken the child. Usually it's like a significant other who has taken the child, but still, I do think that law enforcement is on top of things in a way that they've managed to survey people that they need to. I would hope so, at least.
I didn't say they're full of shit. I was referring to Seth being full of shit with his comments.
Well, that doesn't help matters.
No, it doesn't. So when you brought him on the show and he wants to start this shit, that isn't going to answer questions. It's going to spiral into the shit it's in. So we can set this shit aside and answer the questions that you got.
Okay. I would like to move on very quickly, but I will say the public opinion is not going to improve unless we can take a deep breath.
That's exactly right.
And I know you are frustrated.
You have no idea what
I'm
I
not
am.
saying I know
You
how
don't.
frustrated you are, but I know you are frustrated. And I'm not saying that's not valid, but this is not helping.
If it's not helping, then you shouldn't be talking about it on social media.
But here's,
as a PI, you should have said, you know what, we're not going to answer that question. We're going to do that privately. That's where that should
I
have
did
went.
say that actually several times,
You
and you
did.
can listen to that recording later.
So let's move on to the next question.
I just got to say one thing. You want the public's help. You want them to be behind both of you. And
we need them to find Sebastian.
Exactly. And it's a very good chance that somebody in the public will find
That's
him.
my biggest frustration is that we all collectively have to deal with all of this instead of focusing on Sebastian.
All right, and it's a disadvantage to Sebastian. Really, it's sad because we're not any closer to finding him as long as we're all arguing like this.
Yeah. And mods in chat, you're removing these comments, I hope, because I've been removing some too. And we've got extra people, extra mods in chat. Anything rude that said, they're banned, they're gone. Okay. So we'll get them out there as quickly as possible. And let me go through chat really quickly here to get some more questions here. You've been on here for many hours, and I so appreciate this. I really, really do. So,
Can Chris hear me?
yes, you can.
Can you? Well, you can't throw us in a back room so we can talk real quick.
I wish I could. I wish I had that ability, but I don't. I can take you both off, and you can call him. Do you want to do that?
Let's finish this first, and we'll do that after the fact. Let's get these questions out of the way.
Chris, listen, you may not like my opinion, but when we got rumors out there, if you and I squash these rumors, then they stop being rumors and everybody just looks at the people who are spreading them like they are shit. I was not trying to upset you. I'm trying to squash these stupid rumors that are literally filling up my privatized email address, their inbox with crap, which is crap. It's not helping find Sebastian, so if it gets squashed, then people will stop. Not everybody. Lord knows there's still going to be stupid people out there. But it will stop. It will, I mean, literally, it will stop.
My retort is real simple.
I want to find Sebastian, Chris, and there are rumors out there that we have to put an end to. You may not like them, but we have to put them into them publicly. Because right here, we can end rumors. So people know. When I told them to fuck off, if they didn't like it, they know that I meant fuck off because they don't like it.
So stop right there, Seth. Stop. Let me help you with something real quick. You want rumors to die? You want to stop with all the stuff that's coming up and flooding these PI's inbox? How many terabytes do you want of videos where you have gone out there and you've said some very harsh things that should never have come out? You never should have. And now don't take this the wrong way. That is a conversation for later.
Here to swing, bud.
Let me finish.
There are things that I put out there.
Once again, you can't talk to a fucking log.
Okay, what? Okay,
Chris,
so
Let me finish.
Chris, that's not productive.
It's not. So let me finish. You all are playing one-sided here.
No, we're not.
I don't think that's fair.
So then tell Seth when I'm talking, let me finish.
Okay, Seth, let him finish.
Yes, Seth, please let him finish.
There's conversations you've had that should have never been out in the public light, and you know it. And because you did that, it started a lot of rumors. Own it, accept it, and move on from it.
Now, when Seth came out with certain things like about the diapers and stuff like that, there were a lot of people who were like, what does this have to do with him going missing? Why is Seth saying this? So I'm curious where you guys are in chat. Do you agree with Chris that there were things that Seth came out saying that had nothing to do with helping the situation and finding Sebastian? Or do you think everything is relevant and, sharing everything that happens behind those closed doors and those houses is relevant? So I'm curious your guys' opinion, and I'll pull up your comments on the screen.
I told you on Sunday, I supported you. I would be there for you no matter what, how ugly this got. But I'm not going to stand by and watch you disrespect me, my family, my wife, or anybody for that matter. A lot of rumors got started because you went on social media and you opened your mouth and said some things you shouldn't have said. Accept it. I'll show you the videos.
You don't just show me the videos.
Now, in hindsight, that is a conversation you and I need to have offline, away from everybody else, in our own private conversation. You and I, we sit down and we can talk. Literally, Lisa, you had people watch us doing it Sunday at that vigil.
Well,
They were snapping pictures because they were trying to get some juicy information.
Trish,
So let's answer.
can we move on to the question?
Yes, please.
Yeah, let's. There's a question here in chat, and I've heard this. And Chris, this is a good one. I'd like to clear up. Is
Okay.
it true that Chris told Seth, "You will find your son at church"?
No.
Okay.
No.
That's
what he stated was if I went to church, maybe I'd find my son.
So in other words, if you went to church and talked to the Lord, is that what you were saying,
Yes,
Chris?
that is what the whole conversation in reference was.
I have a
Not,
question for
you
you.
go to a church and you'll find it.
Hold on, Seth. I'm sorry, Chris, finish.
Regardless of the context, to tell him that maybe if you go to church, you'll find your son, like that's awful thing to say to a parent whose child is missing. You know, I just don't think that was helpful for Chris to say.
I'm sorry.
I'm talking because why? I understand. I see where people got that.
Right.
But that is a conversation that Seth and I had privately. You know, I'm sorry, but we're not going to sit here and drag certain things into this. It has nothing to do with it. I told Seth, you know, basically we should all go to church. We should pray. That's exactly what it was in reference to.
Understood. Seth, go ahead. It's your turn now.
There's better way to have said it, Chris.
Okay, and that's
For
semantics.
you to think that I don't go to church.
Seth, I didn't say anything about you not going to church or going to church. Can we
Is
go
that
to the next
fine,
question?
Sebastian?
No, it's not. Can we move to the next question?
All right, thank you.
Okay. How about this? Because you guys have been on here for almost 3 hours, and I really appreciate it. And I do think Chris and Seth need to talk off air. Let's talk about what we do know. We do know, and this is how we started out the live stream. We do know that Sebastian was last seen publicly at Texas Roadhouse on Sunday. We know he was seen on camera taking out the garbage at some point. We know that there is a possibility that the cameras did not pick up Seth leaving the house because it was so dark.
Sebastian.
I'm sorry. What did I say? I'm sorry.
You
I'm so
said
sorry.
Seth.
Seth. I'm sorry. You're not missing Seth. You're right here. Sebastian.
I'd like to be missing.
Yeah, I understand. I hear you. Sebastian was not seen. A possibility that Sebastian was not seen leaving the house because it was too dark. Okay. There were certain scent dogs that hit on Sebastian. There were 3 of them that went down to the retaining pond. According to Chloe, that retaining pond has been searched.
It was actually been drained and it has been walked and searched.
Okay, so that's good. I think that's what we know about that night and the hours before he went missing. I think that's all we know for certain. Now, I want to ask all of you, what is the next step? Chloe and Heather, I'll go to you two first, and then I'll go to the two gentlemen.
I'm sorry, my dog was barking. What did you say?
That's okay. I said, what is the next step? What is the next step for you? What is the next step for the public? What would you like us to do? What do you think you guys are going to do?
Well, for us right now, we are really focused on getting Q in. Chloe and I are working on a report and some maps to try to give them an idea of areas that need to be searched or researched. And I think really the next big step is getting us all on the same page and working together. And even though this is a mess right now, I think this is a huge step in that direction. And I'm hoping that, as I said, Chris had called me earlier and just right before the show started, and I messaged Chloe and was kind of talking to her about what you guys were going to talk about, because I wanted some of the things that he cleared up with me, I wanted to make sure she was aware of. But, reaching out to me and then reaching out to you guys on the podcast tonight, I think it's a huge step in the right direction. He's angry, but once we get past that, I think maybe we can all work together and start putting our heads together on where we need to look for Sebastian.
Thank you. Very good. Chris, what would you like to see us do? What do you think?
At this point, keep spreading the flyers, keep keeping his name out there in of good graces, not of in a negative light. Spread the words. If you know something, say something. Don't wait 2 weeks. Don't wait 3 weeks. I told Heather the same thing. There's so many tips that come in weeks later instead of the moment that they come in. when you get these tips, you call 911, you call TBI, you don't call these PIs, you don't call Seth, you don't call us, you just call the law enforcement agency. Keep spreading the flyers, spreading the word, prayers. Trust me, keep the prayer warriors out there. We need them.
I agree. And I think, because of all of the noise, people have not been reminded to continuously search their properties. And like I said before, everybody else came on here.
I need people to continue with the flyers, as Chris said. TBI has already stated that most of their tips do come in from flyers. I have I have 100% faith that the humanity that still exists out here, that we can come together, heads up, eyes open, see something, say something. Contact FBI, contact TBI, call 911 for your local. Tell them that, you think you just saw the missing child from Hendersonville, Tennessee. Get them on it. All right. At the same point in time, if you feel that they're not doing it, you just fix it. Law enforcement is short-handed. All it takes for evil things to exist is good men do nothing. And that's good females too. I'm not, it's just for evil to exist and continue is good people they do nothing.
Right.
Don't fall into the simplicity. On your way to work, on your way to the corner store, on your way to Walmart, you might see my son.
Absolutely
You might see him, and I need you to say something. I need you to call 911 immediately. If you're not in Sumner County, I need you to call 911. After you call 911, call TBI, so that way they know that 911 has already been called. I have found that law enforcement groups do not communicate with each other, and I don't mean this as a negative, but I mean this as a Facebook lead came through, and I called Lebanon, which is here in Tennessee, and they didn't even know that my son was missing.
Oh, jeez.
All right.
I will.
And isn't it interesting how, it's just like we said in our last stream, like when at first in this beginning of this stream that we listened to in our last live of breaking this down, we were kind of surprised that Chris praised law enforcement so strongly and didn't have any criticism, because we've even stated in murder cases, there's criticism from the victims' families that are saying, like, we need more information and we need we need an arrest to take place sooner. Like, what's going on? And it was kind of the opposite. Like, Chris was like, I have no criticism for law enforcement. They're doing an amazing job, blah, blah. And now here at the end of the same stream, the biological father is speaking the way that most of the victims' families speak, like that we hear in other cases. Like, they, of course, are appreciative of law enforcement, but there is criticism. And Seth is saying, like, the communication between the agencies aren't the best. So please, keep his name out there and share his flyers, blah, blah, blah. So it's just interesting because that's exactly the type of response that we kind of expect. Of course, there's appreciation for law enforcement, but the families are always like, but, I just feel like they could be doing a better job here or there. But in the beginning of the stream, Chris had the exact opposite. He's like, I have no criticism. I praise them, blah, 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 not verbatim, but you guys heard it. And we were kind of all saying, like, yeah, that is kind of unusual that Chris, he has no criticism at all for law enforcement. So just noteworthy. Not sure if it means anything, but just noteworthy, because Seth is kind of giving us the response that we kind of expect from the families.
Second that was said, there's a lot of people out there that don't know locally.
Right.
All right, guys, I think we can end it there. We listened to the majority of it all. We broke down the first half of it in our last live stream. If you guys missed it or want to listen to that, a lot of good input from chat too. So thank you guys so much for being here. And Mundy asks, the real question, literally, do people just disappear? Do children just disappear? They don't. They don't just disappear into thin air, right? So that is, the truth. Now, just to run through some things that we can rely on, like she was, listing off there. The dogs hit on a scent towards the construction site next door and the retention pond. The AI or the photo that's been going around that might look like Sebastian has not been confirmed to be real or not, or if it's AI. They are still investigating it. But the pants that were found recently are not Sebastian's. So those things we can just leave as the end of this stream as what we know. We'll keep up with all the updates, of course. Thank you guys so much. Please hit the like button and subscribe if you haven't. And hopefully we can get some more updates and discuss this much further. Hopefully they're positive updates. Tomorrow night, we'll be breaking down the first week of the Karen Reed trial. So I've been following this case, of course, and that trial. So it's kind of been a lot of work, but it's interesting. The Karen Reed trial is super interesting. So tomorrow night, join me here, same time, same place, and we'll talk about the recap for the Karen Reed trial. So if you're not really up to speed with it, it'll be a good stream to kind of jump on in case you want to start following it, because the trial supposedly is going to be around 6 weeks or so, they're saying. So thank you guys so much for hanging out with me, for discussing this stuff, and while I eat my burrito. And yeah, I just appreciate you guys, and hopefully I'll see you tomorrow night. And thank you, Melissa Jade, and everyone that joined from her stream. That's very kind of you guys to jump over from there to here. So just want you to know I really appreciate you guys, and you, Melissa, if you're still here, thank you so much. Thank you to my moderators and everyone in chat. Thanks so much. And we will talk very soon. The Watts live streams, I've like I said, I've been kind of stuck down the rabbit holes of Sebastian, who of course needs the attention and the exposure out there because he's a missing child. That case is active and ongoing. The Watts case is closed. It's done, but people love the deep dive. So haven't forgot about you guys for the Watts community, Watts Island, as we call it. We'll be revisiting the Watts Island soon. So stay with me and follow other cases with me too. There's other things besides Watts and other things besides Sebastian going on. So we'll cover all that stuff too. And we'll talk very soon. So bye, guys.